Live here at Supercharger. Got Warren back here. Just went to Giga Texas. Check out my Giga Texas video a little bit later. And we're just here supercharging. Man, almost didn't make it. Let's see, everyone's stacked. He locked me out. Miles an hour.
It's just interesting that so far it's not going. I don't know if it's because there's so many people at the superchargers, but it's not going up to 150 kilowatts. I would expect with relatively low battery, maybe it needs to get the battery up higher before it can really speed up. So we were down around 10% or something, right?
High usage supercharger station.
No, you don't need to change that.
I just thought maybe
that's charging the battery up to 80%.
What's that? Oh, tire. All right, Warren, what do you think about Giga Texas?
I think Giga Texas is amazing. I think that everything I'm learning about Elon Musk companies, the innovate with extreme urgency is not just talk. There is a company culture at SpaceX. There's a company culture at Tesla. There's probably a company culture at Boring Company Neuralink that they work insanely long hours, really hard, take on really hard problems because they are on a mission. They're on a mission to make the world a better place, to get humanity to Mars, to, all kinds of, and the employees see the mission and they commit, and I think it's hard on them, but I think that they accomplish great things because they challenge themselves. And I look, as an investor, I look around and I say, well, what do I want to invest in? Do I want to invest in a company where people are coming in to make a paycheck, or do I want to invest in a company where the employees are they're down? They're in 100%. They, working 12, 16, 18-hour days, 6, 7 days a week because they get the mission. They're driven, and they want to be a part of that. And if you're not driven, then you don't get to be a part of that. And just so impressed with that. And you could see, it's Sunday, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, buzz of activity at Giga Texas. People going like crazy. They're working hard. They are trying to accomplish something really huge, and it's impressive.
Really is impressive. Seeing it from that angle that we saw driving over the highway.
I think that when we first pulled off and we were fairly close and we could see people working, that was part. But it's one thing to see it. It's another thing because I talked to Tesla employees when I was at the Plaid event. I talked to SpaceX employees when I was just down at Starbase. The mission that you can't tell that they're driven by the mission when you're you can't tell that they're driven by the mission when you're just watching the activity. You don't understand what their motivation is, what their incentive is. So I was just noticing it's up to 65 kilowatts.
So it bumped up from, what was it earlier, 40?
I think it was 50 something. It just went up a little bit. I think as the battery charges, we're at 50 miles now, which is, 20%. I think at a certain point it's going to spool up to 150 kilowatts.
Yeah. And you said you're most excited about Starlink, and
I'm excited about all of it.
All of it.
I mean, I'm excited about Starlink. I'm excited about Mars. I'm excited about Neuralink maybe. I'm excited about Boring. I think that Elon's companies are doing so much. There's so much that Tesla's doing just on its own. And then what Boring Company is going to be doing, what Neuralink's going to be doing. Neuralink is a further down the road prospect. They got to get it to work, and it's probably 5 years before we see significant applications in humans. But yeah, there's a lot going on. When I talk to people who work at like Ford, right, I don't get the sense of urgency. When you talk to people at Amazon, Walmart, and whatever, you talk to somebody at Walmart, right? When you talk to somebody who works at Walgreens, what percentage of Walgreens employees are on a mission? Starbucks, we encounter a lot of companies in life that we deal with one way or another. Where do we see the intensity, the drive? I don't think you see it in many places, and it's so transparent at SpaceX, and it's so transparent at Tesla that hey, this shit matters. We need to get this shit done. That's a big deal.
It's almost like the opposite of how most other companies.
I just think a lot of government jobs. Nobody's in a government. Very few people are in a government job for a mission. They're in a government job for a paycheck and a pension and benefits, and whatever I got to do to get paid. But a lot of people in life think that their life is about getting a paycheck so they can do whatever they want to do in their free time. Very few people are like, my work is really, really important, and I want to accomplish something.
Well, like what I was kind of pointing out,
as opposed to just making money, right? I want to accomplish something. I'm here for a mission. Being able to get people on the notion that they're on a mission. And you have to, that's one of the things, Elon talks big. We're going to go to Mars, we're going to create a 1 million person colony on Mars. You're not creating a million person colony on Mars unless you innovate with extreme urgency. You are not taking the world off fossil fuels onto electric vehicles, saving all kinds of pollution, climate change if you're worried about that, all that stuff. You're not accomplishing that if you develop an electric pickup truck and you plan to make 40,000 of them. Right? You need to make 10 million. 20 million of them. Nobody is on that mission to say we're going to make 20 million. Nobody's on the mission to say we're going to create battery storage and solar so that we can get rid of coal plants. Yeah. That's a big mission, and you don't have. Look, some people believe in climate change. I think you have to believe in climate change. The question is whether you believe it's as important as you're told growing up. Okay. So
wow, that's going up real fast.
We hit 64 miles, which is probably something like 20% charge, and now it's going up to the 150 kilowatts. It can't charge fast when the battery's low because of battery chemistry issues. It's a fundamental chemistry problem, and they can't charge fast when they get up near the top. So my expectation is between 20 and 50%. We're going to be close to 150 kilowatts. I don't know if we're going to hit 150 kilowatts. We're at 150 kilowatt supercharger, but I think we're going to be at this level for a while, and then somewhere 40-50%, it's probably going to slow down a bit or maybe it'll stay. I mean, I was at a 250 kilowatt supercharger when I saw this happen. Maybe it will stay this good. I don't know. So we'll see.
If anyone else in the comments, if y'all guys have anything you want to ask Warren, if you want to have any questions, throw it our
ask
way.
Me anything.
We have Jacob said, "Hey Warren." Jacob,
yes, sir.
Jacob Polinares. Sorry if I messed it up. And Volta, how you doing, Volta? Do you have full self-driving on this? Nope. I believe this is only autopilot.
We think this is just regular autopilot because we were on autopilot and it didn't suggest lane changes, and it was kind of dumb autopilot.
Yeah, it worked though.
Like we were at a lane that got off the highway, and we wanted to keep going, and it didn't realize we needed to go. At least I didn't notice that it realized we needed to go to the next lane. So I noticed.
And I'm just going to show y'all guys real quick, and then we'll pop back in here. This is how busy this charging always is. Every day, I don't think I've ever been here where it's not this busy, and there's a line of people. So come on, Elon Musk, we're going to need more superchargers, I think, here. Oh, this car, I'm renting this car right now. This is a Tesla Model Y Performance. I'm renting it from my buddy.
It just dropped down to 101 kilowatts. Now somebody just pulled in. I don't know.
Oh, that's what it was. Maybe this guy plugged in.
Now we dropped down to 65 kilowatts. I think
That's
it's because
what it
this
is.
guy next to us pulled in and that saps access to the charger. So, you know, we're averaging more than 60 kilowatts, I think. I think we're averaging about 60 kilowatts.
Electrica. Sorry.
You're good.
Electrica car rentals or electricarentals.com.
I was actually really talking to myself more than to
Sure,
I was talking to the camera so that I would be, because I'll use it as like
Oh God.
Any other questions for me? How many people are watching?
Not many.
Yeah.
My live streams don't normally hit very hard until I get in, until like 20 minutes in. You're using a V2 station that shares dual power. Yep.
No, it's a 150 kilowatt station.
Is that not version 2? Is that version 1?
I don't know, but the other superchargers that I saw were 72 kilowatt. So this one is 150. Like the one I was at when I was in Fort Pierce, Florida, was 250 kilowatt, and that was faster. So that was significantly faster than this. But the other superchargers we saw on the map were 72 kilowatts, which is much slower than this. So
this guy said 72 is version 1. Jacob said, "Hey Warren, why don't you buy Leaps 2 years out to gain more leverage in Tesla stock?"
So options are complicated, and what you're doing when you buy options is you're relying on Wall Street to price the stock right. And although I have confidence that Tesla's fundamental value is going to increase over the next couple of years, I don't have confidence that Wall Street will properly value the company. And there is a significant risk that, we've seen supply chain problems this year. They could get worse. Leaps are great if everything goes the way I think it will go, then Leaps are great. That's a good choice. But what happens if there's a bigger supply chain problem? What if there's a new pandemic? Whatever. I own stock, right? And I'm not planning on selling until say 2030. So that gives me a much bigger time window than 2 years. And I'm not comfortable with Leaps, with options in general, because I think understanding how to price options is really hard, and I'm not sure if I don't know how to do it well, then the person selling the options to me knows better than I do. So I don't feel comfortable playing that game. Investing in stocks is simple. Basically what you're betting on when you buy a 2-year Leap is that change is going to happen faster than other people think. And I think change is going to happen faster than other people think, but if you make that bet and it doesn't happen, then how much money do you lose? Versus if I just held the Tesla stock and it didn't go up as much as you thought it was going to go up, but it went up. There are people who do it. I've looked at that prospect, and I just decided, I just like buying the stock. I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing pretty well. It's sort of like with Leaps, you win some, you lose some. And if you buy the stock, you just win. Much more likely to win.
That's my game plan. Is
and I would say this:
short buys.
What?
Like I can just continuously buy on dips.
I wouldn't use the word short. That's confusing.
Sure. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that.
Small buys. Okay.
So there we go.
But for me, it's you buy, and if Tesla goes up as much as I think it's going to go up, does it really matter whether I have 50 million or 100 million? Like once you have, I'm going to have enough. And I'm not really motivated by playing investing games. I'm motivated in investing because I believe in a company. And I don't want to put my time into watching the options prices day in, day out, looking for the opportunity. There's an opportunity cost in that time, right? People think, oh, you just buy options. No, there's work involved in buying options. You have to think, you have to spend time figuring out when you're buying options at what price. I don't have to think about that. When I have free cash, I buy Tesla stock. If I see a dip, I buy. There was a big dip recently, I don't know, like 580 or something like that, and I like scraped together some cash and bought 3 shares, right? It's like, I can't see, like, I've got to find a way to buy more stock. I do think there's a significant chance of things that I'm going to have some free cash soon, or I should say I'm going to have the opportunity to reallocate my capital.
Sure.
In, let's say, 6 months. If the price is still down around 750 in 6 months, I'm going to buy and everything's going the way I think it should be going, I'm going to sell some assets and buy a shit ton of stock. I can't do it now. That's a long story, but I think I'll be able to do that soon. When I can do it, I will. Because I don't understand. I mean, there's certain investments I make and certain opportunities. Like, I think Beyond Meat is a really interesting opportunity. So I made this one little options bet. Like, the one time I bought options, I bought put options on Lyft and Uber for January 2023 on the theory that if the robo-taxi network starts up, that Uber and Lyft will crash. That once the robo-taxi network is running somewhere. I think I was premature. I think I should have waited longer to buy the puts. That was a mistake, but it was a small bet. I'm probably going to lose my money. Right now, looking at it now, it doesn't look like the robo-taxi network's going to go live by the end of 2022, and that means the writing won't be on the wall for Uber and Lyft yet. And kind of like, suppose robo-taxi network goes live in, say, San Francisco area and obliterates Uber and Lyft. Wall Street is so messed up that they won't recognize that Uber and Lyft are worthless companies right away. Like, the stock won't fall as much as it should. Like, to me, if you know Uber and Lyft and Lyft are losing money and they're growing. And the investment story is, well, we're going to grow into profitability. So if robo-taxis come along and eliminate their growth, then what's their story? Where we're going to keep losing money forever? Once the growth story's gone, they're worthless. But that doesn't mean that Wall Street gets it. That's the problem. It's not clear that Wall Street will get it. It's not clear that somebody won't come in and buy them for a ridiculous amount of money when they're worth nothing. That's what we see that all the time. So I can't say what. I mean, they have some intellectual property, like understanding human behavior to get picked up and all that stuff, but I think they're pretty much worthless as soon as. And so the question is, when does the robo-taxi network start? If you think the robo-taxi network starts soon, So.
Do you think I'm going to turn this off real quick. I'm charging my drone batteries back here, but it's making too much noise. So do you think that the Model 2 is going to be the full self-driving vehicle? Or do you think
number one, I don't use the word Model 2.
Sure.
I don't use the word Model 2.
Yeah.
I call it the battery day vehicle. That's not what I'm the only one who calls it that, but
sure.
It's the only name that makes sense to me right now. We don't know what it's going to be or what many things it might be. I think, not sure, I think the battery day vehicle will be multiple models. It will be a platform rather than a vehicle. I think this is going to be a full self-driving vehicle. The distinction with the battery day vehicle is that they may make it without a steering wheel and pedals.
Sure.
Because it is so good that there's no need for steering wheel and pedals. So it may be the first vehicle that doesn't have steering wheel and pedals. That I think could happen. The first Tesla vehicle. So, but just to be clear, I think the battery day vehicle will be a hatchback in Europe, small SUV in the United States, or maybe a minivan / cargo van. I think there's a lot. There's a lot of potential to use one platform that is banged out like at high volume, and then you put shells on it, different bodies on top of it. I don't know how the manufacturing is going to work, but I think they're going to manufacture in really high volume, and it's going to make sense for that vehicle to have multiple forms. It doesn't make sense for the volume that I think they're aiming for that vehicle, for that platform. It doesn't make sense to have only one model. There'll be 2 or 3 variants in China. There'll be 2 or 3 variants in Europe. There'll be 2 or 3 variants in the United States and Canada, and Maybe India will have something different. Maybe there'll be an India gigafactory. Maybe there'll be a Japan gigafactory producing them. I don't know. I think what's more important than that it's a specifically self-driving car, because every Tesla since 2018 is basically FSD capable. What's really important is the volume of production, the manufacturing. Can they nail the manufacturing, get it to be really, really inexpensive to manufacture in high volume? If they can manufacture in high volume and expensively, game's over. I mean, if they can do self-driving, game's over too, but it's like a double whammy. Somebody else might figure out self-driving, but can they manufacture at scale? Right? What's Ford's plans for the Mach-E? They're gonna make 50,000 a year. They're gonna make 100,000 a year. What's their plan with the Expedition, with the F-150 Lightning? They're gonna make 40,000, 80,000 a year. That's not ambitious. What's Lucid Motors? I mean, I'm impressed that Lucid Motors has actually seemed to have nailed the range goal on the Lucid Air. We'll see if it's real world in a vehicle that's delivered to a customer. It's one thing to have a pre-production vehicle or whatever. But when they start delivering vehicles to customers, we'll see how it matches up. But I do think what I've seen so far, what I've seen recently from Lucid's impressive. But can you manufacture them at scale? I don't know.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
But but same thing, Rivian. There's no. I don't see any plans for any of these companies to manufacture at scale. And if you don't manufacture at scale, you're not moving the needle. You're making a difference, but moving the needle means you got to manufacture at scale. So
let's see what else we got here. V1, V2 shares between them. Really enjoy your videos. Hey guys, you guys are a great team. Inspiration 2.
Inspiration 4.
Yeah, that's it's kind of hard to. I can barely read this, so. But Inspiration 2 is one thing. Maybe we're the two inspirations here. Awesome response, Warren. How long have you been investing?
I've been investing for 25 years. Mostly conservative, diverse portfolio investing, and then so 2013, I got Amazon. It suddenly clicked. Amazon Prime in particular, and the addictive nature of shopping on Amazon, because I was addicted. And I'm an early adopter, and I figured, well, if I'm addicted now, then other people are going to be addicted later. And it occurred to me that Amazon was going to go up, and I bought a small amount of stock in Amazon. Not super small, but I had this view that you shouldn't invest more than a certain amount of your portfolio in one company. So I'm up 13x or 14x from when I bought it in 2013, and it was going up, and then 2015, SpaceX lands the rocket booster. The first rocket booster landing, December 21, 2015. About 3 months later, I started buying, maybe it was 2 months later. 2 months later, I started buying Tesla stock. And I started paying more attention to Tesla and more attention to Tesla, and I started learning more about Tesla. And the more I learned, the more I was like, oh my God. And then it was like whenever I had cash available, I bought Tesla stock. And so from 2016 to the present, I bought what for me is a ridiculous amount of Tesla stock. For somebody who used to believe you should have a diversified portfolio, I now have 85% of my IRA in Tesla stock. And I manage my mother's investments, and I bought a lot of stock. I didn't go as far as I did with myself and my mom, but my mom actually owns more Tesla stock than I do because she has more money than I do. So 50% of her portfolio is bigger than 85% of my portfolio. So, I made my mom a millionaire.
That's really interesting to hear. You don't hear that a whole lot about how family members and because normally when someone invests in Tesla, or you hear someone that's a Tesla geek, you don't hear, or just a Tesla fan and all. I particularly, maybe it's because in Texas, a lot of us are, but yeah, you don't hear that a whole lot. So that's really amazing. That it's not just you, but you were able to bring that success to someone else.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And there was another family member who listened to me and bought about as much Tesla stock as I have. And it was funny, I got an email from him and his wife with the percentage gain in their portfolio in 2020, and thank you.
Yeah.
and they're nowhere near this because my brother has more. Okay, I gave it away to my brother. They have more money than I do, and so their portfolio didn't go up as much as mine did because they're not as heavily. The proportion that they have invested in Tesla is not as high, but they were happy. So
Yeah, it's like my wife's parents. They're investors. They have a pretty good amount probably saved up and investing, but they're not like Tesla. You know, they listen to the news and they're like, it's too risky for me. And I've how many people have all of us ranted and raved about trying to express our, why we think we should be investing into Tesla stock, and then like no one does it, or like those people that no one does it. And I'm wondering, like, what is it that makes that one person believe you, or how do you get through to those, like, on what is it about those people that makes them want to listen to you?
I think the problem, you and I were talking about some conversation I was having on Twitter earlier with somebody, and he's like, well, Tesla can't grow that fast. It's like, well, and I just asked the question, do you think that's because there's a lack of demand, or do you think it's because it's difficult for them to manufacture at scale, the scale we're talking about? And he didn't answer the question. He says, well, they can't double production. What do you mean, why not? And I think a lot of people have trouble perceiving the rate of growth that Tesla is capable of. And now maybe I'm overestimating the rate of growth, but they went from like 370,000 vehicles to 500,000 vehicles in 1 year, and then they produced 380,000 vehicles in just the first half of the year. So if they match that, they'll go from 500 to 760, but they're producing more. So they're going to go to 850, maybe they go to 900,000. So you go from 500,000 to 900,000. That's really, really rapid growth, and it's tough for people to grasp how fast it's growing. And I think it's accelerating.
Yeah.
It's growing fast, and it's growing faster. So that's 80% growth. If they hit 900,000 this year, which I think is a stretch, I don't think they're going to make it 900,000. But if they do make 900,000 this year, that's an 80% growth rate. And I think the growth rate is accelerating. Like right now, we're having this supply chain problem. What if the supply chain problem resolves itself? What if we don't have supply chain problems anymore?
Yeah.
And we just saw this big building.
And then both of the Giga Texas and Giga Berlin by the time are going to be open.
But just look at Giga Texas and say, well, what are you going to build in that thing?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot bigger than Fremont. And Fremont is building like 600,000 vehicles a year potentially. It's a lot bigger than Shanghai. So if Fremont can produce 600,000 vehicles a year, let's say, and this is 5 times the size of Fremont, and it's a more efficient factory, you do some numbers and you're like, I think that thing's going to produce 5 million vehicles a year in the long run. Just the one factory.
And
just Giga Texas.
Historically, we've never had this industry. Like, if you looked back and were like, well, this is what auto companies have done in the past, you can't look at that. You can't look at what auto companies have done in the past, because this is not like any other auto company. We've never had the electrification. This is not the same as any other auto company making vehicles. They make vehicles with batteries. No other company has ever done that. So this is a different, you can't compare the Tesla auto industry or the electric auto industry really to the same thing in history. There's two different kind of sides to that.
Tesla is not just a car company. Tesla is an energy company. Tesla is like 12 startups in one. There's so many different things going on. I mean, there are other companies that are self-driving startups. Tesla's a self-driving startup. There are other companies that are electric vehicle startups. Tesla's an electric vehicle startup. One company is an electric pickup startup. Another company is an electric luxury vehicle startup. Tesla is a luxury, regular electric vehicle and pickup and robo-taxi startup. And they're a solar startup, and they're a battery storage startup, and there's like so many different, and they're a robot startup now, and they're an artificial intelligence startup. Like, there's so much going on that is hard for people to grasp. To say that it's not worth as much as other car companies, like, it's worth more as a car company than all the other companies, and then you've got all this other stuff going on, and it's just because people can't grasp the value of growth. If I'm right, my bear case is right, they never deliver robotaxi, and they have less than expected growth into 2030. The value is $8,000 a share. Right now it's under $800 a share. It's going to 10x if everything goes poorly by comparison to what my expectations are. If everything goes well, it could 50x. It could 100x. The sky's the limit. I mean, if they deliver a robot that is capable of doing tasks that replace human jobs, and it costs $10,000 to build a robot, and they sell it for 20, and it can replace a lot of human tasks, and people are like, oh, it's going to take jobs. No, it's going to free up people to do more important jobs. But how, what's the limit? If it's able to do $100,000 of work a year and only costs $10,000 to make it, you make a ridiculous number of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's so many things going on in Tesla. Like my 50X could be conservative. If Tesla bot turns, Dave Lee is like, this is amazing. This is going to be the most valuable thing ever created in human history.
Mm-hmm.
If Dave Lee's right, my 50X is short. Like I'm bearish at 50X. And I'm starting to think, like, I haven't remodeled it.
Yeah.
Like, I got to remodel it, keeping that in mind. And I kind of think Dave is right. I mean, once you nail the vision system, pretty much everything they do with AI, it's going to make sense with a robot. How does it learn to walk? It tries it. It learns from its mistakes. And it learns a little differently the way we learn from our mistakes, but it learns centrally rather than locally, but it's going to be crazy.
And they said the same thing about drones. When drones come out, as a photographer, they said, well, photographers, you're going to lose your job. You're not going to have jobs anymore. These drones, they're just take photos for you. But it's like that's not really how it works. It's like the drone was actually an extension and a benefit of my photography business. It actually accelerated and improved me as a photographer. And that same thing with the full self-driving. Just because you have a full self-driving vehicle doesn't mean that it's going to, or a Tesla bot, that it's going to take away jobs. It actually could be taking the one guy's job, the part that he didn't like, and making his job better. And now he actually likes his job because he works with the Tesla robot, and the Tesla robot does all the bad stuff, and he gets to only do all the fun stuff. And I think that's the mentality that a lot of people don't talk about, is that it's like most of the things that the Tesla bot's going to be doing is the things that you don't want to do, and now you're freed up to do like things that are maybe make you more successful.
My mother's in an assisted living facility. You know what one of the tasks is if you work in an assisted living facility? Clean up somebody's poop. Is that a job you want humans to do? Or is that a good job to have? Is that a good job to have robots do instead? Helping up the 400-pound guy, right? Do you want your regular worker to risk injuring their back helping up the 400 guy who fell over? Or do you want to have a couple Tesla bots do it? Yeah,
I mean, Tesla bot might even be able to sense things too that a human can't sense, health-wise, like heartbeats and things like that.
That's another thing. I don't know about that, but I would say, that's possible.
You get the sensor put in. It's got Bluetooth.
I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying maybe. But I would say
Apple Watch.
One of the things about driving a Tesla on FSD, I drove an FSD, not beta, FSD Navigate on autopilot. It sees 360 degrees all the time. Like if I want to see left, I gotta look left. If I want to look right, I gotta go over my shoulder. It has perfect vision all the time, everywhere. Wrap your head around that for a second. Like now, is it good at processing that information, what it sees, to be able to figure out what's there? It's not quite there yet, but it's going to get there. Now, a Tesla bot's going to have a camera in the back of its head. It's going to have 360 degree vision, and the potential for that, it's just amazing in so many different ways.
Have you seen the Netflix episode that's talks about
Netflix, like Black Mirror?
No, it's a Netflix series called I don't want to waste time on this.
I think the short answer is no.
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
It's a Netflix series called Explained, and there's one episode where they explain machine learning, basically. And it talks about how back when I was a kid, I was in the chess club, and the Russians played chess the best. Like every Russian, when you were young, you had to learn chess. And then a robot came and finally beat the Russians, and that was in the 80s. Then, and it talks about the probabilities of chess. The first move you make on chess, there's like 100 or 1,000 moves. The second move you make in chess, there's over like 1 million. You ever heard of Go? It's a Chinese game. Go, the first move you make, there's millions of options. The second move you make, there's more possible options than there are stars and planets in the solar system. And a computer just beat the best Go player on Earth. And they did that through machine learning, and they did that 2 to 4 times faster than they did when they beat the chess. And so like the acceleration of that is just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
That now, and it's the same way that Tesla's learning their machine learning here. It's just like doing 2 to 4,000 different trajectories every second. And
Yeah.
it's just crazy how if you really think that the acceleration is speeding up, and Elon Musk said that we'll have maybe see Tesla bot in 1 year, and everyone's like, that's impossible.
Prototype.
Even if it's prototype, if it's working and it's prototype, maybe not going to the public, but that
They're hiring.
I don't think that's I don't think it's a far fetch with how fast the computers learn and the rate increase.
I'm wearing the Elon Times shirt, so if you go to elonbits.com, you can buy this shirt. I think that he's probably being aggressive at saying 2023. I think that a lot of things, like I think Cybertruck just got pushed back. I think that means the battery day vehicle is probably going to get pushed back to 2024 as well. But you know, you set audacious goals, and then if people fall short, they still did something really good. So.
Sure. All right. See anything else here? You want to wrap this up?
Yeah.
All right, we're almost done. We're almost done supercharging. I guess I don't have to charge fully. All right, guys. I'll give you one look out here, and we're gonna turn her off. Because we got a line. Look at that line. Again, everyone go check out Warren Redlick's channel. One of the best Tesla YouTubers. Does live streams on Sundays. He's always on. Check him out. And then we'll have a Giga Texas video coming tomorrow morning. We saw lots of progress at Giga Texas, and they were working even on Sundays. So I hope everyone have a great day. We'll see you next time.